What's up YouTube, and welcome back to another Can It Design Challenge. Today we're going to be looking at whether or not you can design using the web-based program SVG-Edit. Okay, so in these Can It Design challenges, we go through when we look at different design programs and we see whether or not they can be used to design something that might be professional. Now, sometimes I receive these challenges from you in the comments on these videos, and I would love to encourage you to leave those challenges down below. Those can be challenges for a specific program or a challenge for something to design in a program. Now, when I don't receive a challenge, I normally just end up designing vans because I love Volkswagen vans. So that's what we'll be doing today, trying to see if we can create a van icon in SVG-Edit. And SVG-Edit is a free vector program that is found online. Now, normally I haven't used the programs before in the Can It Design challenges, but I have used SVG-Edit briefly in the past. I remember looking at it probably 5-6 years ago that I looked at it briefly. So I have used it before, but I don't really remember much about it. So let's go ahead, let's take a look and see what we can find in SVG-Edit. Okay, so I've just pulled up the website here. And the URL is really long because it's a GitHub URL. So you can see it right here, but it's pretty long. So I'll just leave a link to it in the description if you want to check this out yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see what we can do here. We're looking at the tools, and tools are along the left-hand side, right where we would expect them to be. There's a few things up at the top. I'm just going to hover over those to see what we've got. Apply changes, UI, I don't know what that means. Wireframe mode, okay. That's probably like an outline mode, I'm guessing. Show or hide the grid. Excellent, we've got a grid. I don't know if we can change any settings about the grid, but it looks like we've got one. And this document just came up when I opened the website, so I don't know if that's just the standard document size. Looks like we have undo and redo buttons here as well. So let's go ahead and start looking here. We've got a select tool, but we have nothing to select. A pencil tool, which I'm assuming is freehand. Yep. Back, we can select, we can move that. I'm just familiarizing myself with the program before I start trying to design the van. Line tool, / connect to objects. So this must be the connect to objects tool. Okay, so that gives us a connector, but we need two objects to actually use it. Whereas the line tool, let's draw a line. Shift does keep it straight. I don't know why I zoomed in. Oh, whoa. Okay, looks like there's a scroll control on zoom. Maybe just when you're holding shift. Okay, so shift and scroll. So we've got that, and then I'm assuming with two objects, then I can use the line connector tool, maybe. Okay, I don't know what the line connector tool does. Looks like we have a rectangle tool, square tool. Okay, rectangle tool, square hand tool, freehand rectangle. I don't know what the difference is. So we'll clear this document in a second. We're just familiarizing ourselves with the tools, seeing what it can do. And with a free program like this, you never expect it to do all that much, right? You don't expect it to be performing on the level of something like Illustrator or Affinity Designer, but could you design something professional? That's what we want to find out is, even if it's not the most professional tool, could you design something professional? And there's really two parts to that. There's the part where we say, does it have the tools to make the thing the way that I want it to look? And then can it export something in a form that I can use to sell it? And that could be for a client, or that could be to post online as a digital product or as a printable physical product. Okay, so the freehand rectangle is similar to like the shaper tool in Illustrator, I think, where you can just draw. Now this is all saying it's on layer 1, but I don't see, okay, on the right hand side, there's our layers. Everything is currently on layer 1, and they're not necessarily on sublayers. So we have the rectangle, now we have an ellipse tool, a circle tool. Now that's interesting. If I draw an ellipse, can I not just hold down shift? I can. I can just hold down shift to make it a circle. So I'm not sure why there's a separate circle tool, but there is. And this is a path tool. Okay. Pen tool. The path tool is a pen tool. It doesn't look like a pen though, so that's a little bit confusing. And it looks like what we're working with are circles and rectangles. There might be some more shapes further down. Let's keep looking. I'll hit escape to get, nope, cannot hit escape to get out of the pen tool. I don't even know what I just did with the pen tool. So not the most intuitive pen tool there, or what they're calling it, the path tool. Looks like you can double click to close a shape. Okay, next we have a shape library. Oh, okay. So right in here, we get a whole bunch of different shapes. So this is similar to like Affinity Designer, where there's a lot more shapes than in Adobe Illustrator. A number of different options here: hearts, donuts, different types of triangles, and octagon, pentagon, trapezoid, draw a little person. Oops. And there are different categories, so you can switch. So there's actually quite a bit here. I was a little bit worried about that, but it looks like there is quite a bit of different options here. One thing I haven't seen yet is a rounded rectangle. I'm not sure what the way is to round out. Here's a text tool of some kind. Yeah, just called the text tool. And looks like you can just drop it and type something out. So I'll just type out. Okay, so there's that. When you have that, can we stylize it? Yes, up at the top there are some tiny controls for stylizing it. Some very, very limited font choices, which is kind of what you would expect from a web editor. The image tool. Okay, so you can bring an image from a URL, so not from your computer. There's a zoom tool, a polygon tool, which is interesting. We can change the number of sides that we want it to have. So even though there were all those others in the shape tool, there's also this polygon tool, different numbers of sides, as well as a star tool. I don't know. Yes, so there are some controls up here for pointedness, etc. Panning tool, so instead of a hand, it looks like a four-way arrow. And eyedropper tool, but it doesn't look like we can use that. It's grayed out. I'm not sure why. Along the bottom, we have a bunch of different colors, which I guess we can use to change the fill. Maybe the stroke over here. We're just testing for like really basic stuff here, right? Can we draw with shapes? Can we change the color? What can we do? All right. So it's a little bit hokey in the way that you do things. Okay, so we've kind of looked through the tools. We know that we've got some controls down along the bottom that we can see here. I want to see if we can make a new artboard. So it looks like we've got a menu up at the top here, new image, open SVG, import image, save image. Let's see, when you click new image, it says, do you want to clear the drawing? Yes, but we can't change the size, I guess. Oh, looks like we can go into the code. Let's make this 1000 by 1000. Okay, so there are things you can do. For some reason though, if you look at the rulers, it's a little bit off. It doesn't start at 0. It's just a little bit off. Things are just a little bit funky. Of course, this coming from GitHub is basically an open source program. Oh man, it zooms like crazy. It's hard to control it. Okay, so let's begin by seeing if we can't get a rounded rectangle of some kind, which is always a good place to start with a Volkswagen van. Let's begin with this. Looks like it saved my awful colors there. So it gets rid of your undo history, but it saves your your colors. We'll go ahead and see if we can have no fill. And we'll make our stroke black. These controls are a little bit finicky. You have to be in exactly the right spot so they don't have very large click targets. Now, one thing that we just don't have, as far as I can tell, is a node selection tool or a direct selection tool. And that, of course, is going to be concerning if we need to do any detail work here. A lot of the graphical user interface elements are just a little bit off as you look around here, like where this angle is. If we can't round the rectangle, that will make it a bit more difficult for us to actually do what we want to here. So I think I just converted it into curves. When I'm drawing a rectangle, okay, that's a rotation tool, not a corner radius tool. Oops. Okay, I've found the corner radius tool. It's the last tool up here, and you can indeed do it. So let's start over. We will delete these, beginning with the rectangle, draw out approximately what we want, and then increase our corner radius. And it looks like it is rounding both the outside and the inside of the shape. Okay. And switching to the move tool again, we can move it around. Doesn't look like we have any kind of snapping. Just checking these tools along the top. Duplicate. Okay. Let's add some wheels to it. Sometimes people get annoyed. They say that I'm doing things that are too basic, but I'm just trying to understand the programs at a very basic level to see if they can do any kind of design work, right? I know that if I task some of these programs with really difficult design tasks, they won't be able to do it, but some people are just trying to create logos or icons or simple pictures. So I do try and start out pretty basic with these programs to give them the best chance possible. We'll create a tire here, make it black. Looks like we can duplicate with an alt drag, which is excellent. Okay, there are some stroke options. I'm still a little confused about how to handle all the options here, but there we go. And then we'll resize. Doesn't look like we can resize to the center. Of course, no snapping does make it a little hard. Let's see if we get any alignment controls. We do. Perfect. Okay, so once we select two, we do get alignment controls. It looks like, although I can't tell that they're doing anything. Largest object. So there are alignment controls present. They don't seem to be working for me. I could have done something wrong, I'm not sure, but they don't seem to be working. Nor do I see a way to turn on snapping, but if you know of a way, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Shift does not keep it in line. Not sure why there is text here. I must have done something at some point to add text, but I don't know what I did. Okay, these are just not in the right spot. We get so used to certain things as designers, like having snapping, that we really have a hard time working without them, right? Well, I honestly don't know what's happening right now. There's like the bounding box is appearing in the top left corner. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, let's try and see if we can't merge shapes. So let's grab a rectangle here and yeah, something is way off. All right, let's make it black. Let's try drawing a rectangle. Give it a little rounding. See if we can't make a window. Oops. And because each thing doesn't appear over here on the layers, it's hard to tell. I think I've created a bunch of rectangles, but I don't know where they are. And because now the bounding box is appearing off somewhere else. I'm really not sure. Okay, but I do want to know if I can. Now the bounding box is here again. Can I merge shapes? So I'm just going to try that. Group them. I do not see any kind of a Boolean operation. And of course, that's probably going to be a deal breaker there. If we can't merge shapes together. Oh, look, when I go to outline mode, I can see all of these little rectangles that I created while I was on the blank color. Okay, I cannot find a way to merge shapes. To do simple like union, subtract, those types of operations. I don't see a way to do that here. And that's probably going to put the nail in SVG-Edit's coffin. Because if I can't create new shapes, then it's going to be really, really hard for me to work. I might be able to complete this band in a really like rudimentary way and then get it out, but it's not really going to work for design. Now, I bet there are people who are using this for design work that they then sell, because I am constantly amazed at the ingenuity that people have and their ability to keep working. But when I look at this, it's just not going to work for any probably use case that I have. And there are better free options out there, like Gravit, which I haven't taken a look at in this series yet, but I've used before and I know that it actually does work, or Vectornator, which is still free. There are better options out there. This is just not going to be a program that you're going to use. Even if you are on a Chromebook and you can only use web-based materials, there are better things out there than SVG-Edit. So we're going to have to put SVG-Edits, unfortunately, in the It Can't Design column, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you've used it for design work, I would love to hear about that. Go ahead and drop in the comments. If you have other programs I should look at or things I should do for the challenges, please go ahead and drop those in the comments as well. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. We'll chat in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.